Hello, everybody. So, I want to talk to you about, you know, about journaling. The idea came to me, to share a couple of things about journaling. It's something I've been doing for about 40 years. And I thought I had so many different thoughts that came to mind. So I just want to share a couple of them with you, and maybe you'll be encouraged to start to write down your knowledge so that you can pass it on to the next generation. Um, I know a lot of people think that, writing things down, like it takes too long, it's just doing too much. But, when you think about it, it's like a lot of things that we do every day. Um, Someone wrote the instructions down for us. They wrote down their information. When you think about like the holidays coming up, or you got to put things together, and how do you do this, or just just trying to put together a cabinet, or all the things that the kids get for the holidays. And, you got to put all these things together. And someone actually had to take the time to write that information down for you. And I just, sometimes we just take things like that for granted. But we also take it for granted that, the knowledge that we ourselves have to share. And, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, like, back in the day, one of the things that came to mind was back in the day, before cell phones. So I don't know how old you are, but if you're in my generation, you'll really get this, because before there were cell phones, if you met a guy or a guy met a girl, like, whatever, and he wanted her phone number, there were no cell phones to type your number in. He actually had to write it down. So he may be asking someone, hey, you got some paper? You got a scrap piece of paper? Got a pen? I need to write. Everybody knew what that meant. Like, oh, okay, he getting her phone number, So it wasn't a big secret. That was just how it was. You had to write it down. You write your name and phone number down. I mean, there are even verses like that, about that in songs. You got to write your name and number down. And so it's important. And I know a lot of the younger generation would be like, well, we don't have to do that anymore. Again, it's my opinion, but that I feel like nothing takes the place of writing things down. Even recording a video, something could happen to the video, but, I like writing things down. And for me, even writing things down, honestly, I prefer that. The videos are difficult. You may think, oh, I'm not doing a good job, or you don't like how I edit because I don't know how, or, like different things like that. But when it comes to writing things down, I give more detail. I'm more vivid. And it's just because it's something I've been doing for like 40 years. So I have a lot of practice at it. I don't have practice at the video so much. So I think it's important. And another thing I thought about was, like, how you have like that relative, or it may even be your spouse, who's a really good cook, and they do all the cooking for you. Have you ever thought about like writing those recipes down? Again, back in the day, um, people would have like a notebook, and they would have recipes in their notebook, or they would have recipes in the Rolodex, where they write everything on the little card, and you can kind of flip through it. I can't even remember the last time I saw one, but you had those recipes written down. So if you wanted to make that dish, you just, or if you wanted to give that recipe to someone, it made it pretty simple. Unfortunately, like now, we lose a lot of information, we lose a lot of recipes because no one writes it down. And then when we say that person who baked that cake that you can't even buy in a store, or something like that, and that person was the only person that knew how to bake that cake, that recipe is 50, 60 years old, or older, but you never wrote it down. And unfortunately, that person may have passed on, died, and the recipe went with that person, so that's why I think, like, yeah, it's important to write some of these things down. Even your knowledge, like another example is, like if you went through a divorce, I went through a divorce, and I had a journal, and I wrote everything down in there, like everything. Even when it came to like when I decided I wanted to go to counseling, and I went, and what my sessions were like with the pastor, like all these different things. So I wrote it down. One of my gifts from God is, he communicates with me many ways, but one of the ways is through dreams, and I keep track of those dreams. If I have a dream on Monday and it manifests on Wednesday, guess what? All the details are right there in my journal. So those are, just examples. And like I said, I've been doing this for like 40 years. And I don't know if you've ever had like one of the things I saw is like when people do their ancestry, those DNA tests. I don't know if you've ever done that, but or if you knew that sometimes people are fortunate that their ancestors left journals or notebooks and different things behind, and that is like, can you imagine reading something that your great-great-grandmother or someone wrote? That's just like, I don't even know the words for that, but because I haven't experienced anything like that. But there are people who have, and their ancestors have left, different, like what their day was like and what they were going through, and like vivid detail about certain things. And even when it comes to like those DNA tests, I found out that like sometimes they didn't have record of certain people because they didn't write their name down, so they had to find out about them. They had to go a different route to get some information on him or her. So even one of the last things about the DNA thing I was thinking, when it comes to the family, is like, if you feel like, hey, I don't really know what I want to share, I don't know this, or I don't know. If you're one of those people that keep up with first cousin, married by law cousin, or all these different titles that you have, family, maybe you could be that person who connects the dots, like, this is your great aunt, this is your great uncle, then they married this person, this is their child. Maybe you're one of those people that keep up with those type of things. And we all have, family, and we all have family drama. So everybody doesn't know everyone. So if you're one of those people that you can connect the dots, I mean, that's actually, that's priceless, I saw where, this was one other interesting piece I'll share before I end the video, is I saw where this woman had did her DNA, and she actually wanted, I guess as growing up as a kid, she she named her doll babies this specific name, and she did this as a kid. And when she, got older, had her family, she always said, whenever, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. When she was growing up, she had a specific name that she said. When she got older, she would name her daughter this specific name. It was not a common name at all, okay? And when she did her DNA, she found out, she actually got to see in writing that specific name of her. I don't know if it was her great grandma or who it was, but they had that name. And she said she felt like she received that name in spirit. But the cool thing was she actually got to see it in writing. So just wanted to kind of share that with you. And so the last thing I want to say is, if you are like still here and hanging out, that's good. That means that maybe this video is resonating with your spirit in some sort of way to look a little deeper and decide, hey, maybe I want to start doing this for my family, and leave this information. I mean, information is priceless. It's priceless, and it never ends. And hopefully family members will continue. Maybe they'll add on to the information that you're sharing. You just never know. One funny thing I thought about too was, before I end the video, one of the funny things I thought about was like, can you imagine if someone didn't write down the instructions to do like your hair, like the hair, like if you wanted to dye your hair? Can you imagine what a mess that probably was? like a long time ago, like the trial and error that they had to go through, and then write it down like, no, let it stay this long, and if your hair is this light, then don't you let it stay this long. And so again, knowledge is power. And that was just a funny thought. And for all the younger people who might be thinking, oh, not just younger people, but just people who might think, well, they got YouTube videos. We can figure out if our hair turned green or a color we didn't want it to turn. But yeah, that's true. And my hair back in the day was green when it wasn't so popular to have, colored green hair. But I guess the point is, if your hair turned green, you didn't have the directions or you didn't follow it, you can watch a video. But guess what? Sometimes those platforms crash. You can't go on Facebook and YouTube all the time. What if it crashed? But the cool thing is, some of the people have PDFs for information. And if not, maybe this is a good time to, write up info and create your own PDF. So if something ever happened, people can, actually have the directions and the information that they need to print it out, So anyway, I just wanted to, like I said, I just kind of had this vibe, this energy to share this information. Why I think journaling is just a priceless gift. It really is. So, like I said, if you're still here till the end, open up a notebook and get started today, tonight. Just, get started. Write down some things. Write down some divine events and, divine signs, and or some knowledge of how to, or them recipes or whatever it is that you got going on, and start writing it down. Get a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, hey, I'm just like everybody else. Click on the link and below the video, order a journal, or you can even go to my website and order a notebook. Either, however you want to do it. I just think you should do it, especially, like I said, if you're here till the end. So thank you. thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you.